Welcome to the Nebraska Land Bank podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Ty.
We're here to prove that finance and fun can go hand in hand.
Join us as we spotlight community growth, finance, sports, community events, and maybe even a great food find.
We're always community-minded.
Every voice,
every topic,
every time.
So turn the volume up, settle in, and let's talk Nebraska Land. Joining us today on the podcast is Lisa, Citta, and Brian Schimek. They are the dynamic duo behind Axes and Aces, a new venture that promises a fun experience filled with good food, drinks, double dips ice cream, axe throwing, golf simulation, and even some pickleball. Lisa is a police officer and owner of Snowball Express, and Brian is now general manager at Axes and Aces. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Brian and Lisa.
Thanks for having us.
You know, Lisa's a veteran of the podcasting here in the studio.
She is. We've had Lisa on the podcast once before.
We talked about dill pickle snow cones.
Yes. Yeah.
Delicious.
I still haven't tried that.
You're not
flavor.
missing out on anything.
Yeah. Okay, so we changed our format a little bit, Lisa, since you were last here, and we are kicking off with a around the room question.
Okay.
And in the theme, since you do have double dips on site at Axes and Aces, we're going to ask what your go-to double dips ice cream flavor is. But then you also have to answer if you're like the type of person when you find something that you like, do you stick with it, or are you the type of person that tries something new? And I'll start. So my go-to is the sea salt caramel espresso, and that's what I order every single time. I don't typically try new things.
In a cone? Do you get it in a cone?
No, a dish. How about, okay, let's around the room. Ty, you're next.
Well, that was, just to prove I wrote this down, that was going to be mine as well, because that's my favorite.
So good.
But I know you well enough to know that might have been your favorite. So black cherries right there as a 1-1A. With the sea salt.
That's funny because that would be my second choice as well.
Wow.
I'm a cherry fan.
Wow. We're like...
I started with cherry, and then I stepped out of my comfort zone and tried the sea salt, and I've never gone back to cherry, though.
So now you're just that?
Now I'm just sea salt espresso.
My favorite is the huckleberry. However, they don't have that all the time. So I have to have an alternate, which the alternate is always 2 scoops in a waffle cone, mint chip, and cookie dough, because I can't decide between the two. And that's all I get if they don't have huckleberry.
I feel like we talked about huckleberry when you were here last time.
I love huckleberry.
No, we did, and I tried it. That is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I did try that one.
But they don't have it all the
Nebraska
time,
Mondays.
So she did have it during Nebraska Mondays.
See, that makes it special when it comes out. There's some marketing ploy in that, isn't there?
Right.
See, Lori's
that's
pretty
right.
smart.
Lori is smart.
How about you, Brian?
Mine would be the cherry chip, and almost always in a bowl. And the only variation is sometimes if I'm feeling crazy, I'll get it in a waffle cone instead of the bowl. So
Delicious.
So let's walk through this double dips thing. So they're going to be as like part of your business, or how's this going to work?
They will be part of the business. Lori will have pretty much the same hours that we have. It used to be an office that we've converted into double dips. And so she might be open a little bit later hour-wise than we are, opening later in the day. But yeah, so she's just right inside there, and she kind of just has her own little area up front. It's kind of the double dips area, I guess.
yeah, it developed. We bought this huge property, and then you're like, oh, what are we going to fill all this with? And, there's a void out at the lake as far as food goes and, entertainment. And there's also nothing really like a quick stop-in dessert, sweet tooth option. So we just, we had what looked like almost a perfect space, and we both have a pretty good relationship with Lori. So we reached out, and she's very excited about it. And it seems like it's going to be a good use of space for both of us. And I guess it's one little corner we don't have to worry about in a pretty big property. So
I think that's pretty
And
ingenious.
will somebody who's hauling a boat be able to park and run in and get ice cream in there? Will that work out pretty well at your place?
hopefully they park well.
Yeah.
But if they do, it'd be.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be an absolute home run for somebody like that who's just long down the lake, something to cool you off. We'd like them to also have a beer while they stop in and do that, but sure.
They can just have ice cream.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever taken a scoop of ice cream and like the mint chocolate chip and like dropped it in a Guinness beer? Have you ever done that before?
No, but
no. And
the
I
correct
don't think
answer to
that
that
should.
question, Ty,
I think
is
that-
not yet.
I was just going to say that sounds
sounds like dill
Maybe-
pickle snow cone.
I don't know. That actually kind of sounds delightful.
I'm just telling you, somebody had me. Maybe it was a Pals deal or something where they did the beer floats, and it was a new experience. I've only tried it once,
good?
but I was impressed. Yeah, I was impressed.
Interesting.
New ideas, Ty. New ideas.
Yep.
Well, let's back up to what inspired the creation of Axes and Aces and how it kind of came to be, because it's an interesting, I mean, there's a lot going on out there, which is going to be so fun.
There's a lot going on. This all started, I'll give the quick version. I went to Kansas City a couple different times with my family. So my nephew the first time and my mom, and then my niece the second time and my mom. And my mom, who's doesn't look her age at all, thought that axe throwing was not something that she could do, that it's just a younger person kind of thing. So she didn't do it the first time. My nephew and I did. And then when we took my niece said, "Can we go do axe throwing? You guys looked like you had a good time." So we went, and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, just come with us and just play. You'll have a really good time." And she loved it. And so when we were there that second time, we're sitting in this very cool place in the Power and Light District in Kansas City. And I told my mom, I said, "This is something we absolutely could do in North Platte. Bring something that's a wide age range for families to come and do, that, you know, the younger kids, the teenagers, younger teenagers, and then their older teenage siblings and college kids, you know, the whole family can do it together." And so I told Brian while we were down there that we were going to do this, and he said, sure. He wasn't really much on board, and so I just continued to talk about it. When I get something in my mind that I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it. And so we just kept talking about it. My mom and I kept coming up with ideas, and so I said to Brian one day, I said, "What if we have golf simulators there?" And then now
He
we're
was
here.
on board.
So now it's the rest is history from there. So
That's too funny.
that's pretty much how that all transpired. And Brian said we had to bring the food and beverage on, which was not something, you know, that I know anything about. And so that's kind of Brian's forte, and the creation of the menu was pretty much on him. And so
Let's go into that for a second, because a lot of people may not realize that in a lot of our local food service businesses, Brian, you've got some history of being a little bit behind the scenes in them. Is that right? Do you want to talk a little bit about your experiences before this?
Yeah, that's true. Up until last month, I was a 19-year employee of Cisco on the sales and marketing side. And one of the big benefits of being a customer with Cisco was that we have menu development programs. We have 2 chefs on staff who are both really, really good at what they do, very creative, but also able to, you know, create things that people can pronounce so that they'll actually order them. So that part's was really fun. And, you know, I still have a good relationship with a lot of the restaurant owners in town. And, you know, I kind of use the blueprint for our place with what we've done with some other customers in the past. We've been down to Lincoln 3 times for our venture to Cisco, and worked with both chefs to create the menu that we're going to have, which we're really excited about. It's going to be pizza, burgers, wings, appetizers, salads, but there's going to be some really unique offerings within those categories that I think people are really, really going to like.
So kind of describe like what customers can expect when they walk into your venue.
we just want to have a really fun, I guess, sports bar atmosphere is kind of a good way of describing it. We will have a lot of TVs. When Hall's Electrics has been running the wiring, I said to them one day, well, put out where the TVs are going to be, and there's just been orange tape all over the place, and they just kind of looked around. I said, I know there's a lot of TVs, but it's going to be awesome. You're going to be able to see TVs everywhere that you sit. But then again, up in our front space, we won't have any TVs up there. That's kind of the double dips area, but then and also quieter seating space. So we'll have the axe throwing lanes on one side. We have a nice bar in the middle, and then the golf simulators on the other side. We also have an outside courtyard, and then the pickleball courts in the back. So we just want to have a really fun, inviting atmosphere, place to watch March Madness and see every game on all the TVs and watch Husker football and volleyball and get all the sports.
I love that.
And the pickleball will be indoors, right?
Correct.
And that's going to be a pretty unique offering. You want to maybe talk for a minute about how that will work?
Yeah, so we have 3 indoor pickleball courts. The hope is down the road that we'll be able to have that building as a 24/7 access. So we're working out some logistics kind of behind the scenes with door codes and how you do that. And I don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning when we get a request to rent the building. So that's coming down the road that, if you have your late night college kids or, overnight nurses, railroaders, any of the shift workers that maybe can't go some other place in the middle of the night when they're awake. We have the hopes of being able to offer that. And so you can get in there whenever you want and play pickleball. And we have a restroom in there. And so another just kind of fun place to hang out. So.
Yeah, on the pickleball, we've worked pretty closely with the pickleball club here in town, who's a very active group, and some of their I guess leadership of that group has been out several times and given us some pointers and some guidance on how to paint the courts, and we'll work closely with them on scheduling what type of leagues would be best for the people in this area, and just hopefully some more people actually get introduced to it, me included. I've never played pickleball, but it looks pretty fun. So I guess this will be a little bit of an incentive for me to take up pickleball also. So we're looking forward to that aspect of it. And again, it when we bought the property, it was huge, and what can you fill it with? And that back building it lays out about perfectly for 3 indoor pickleball courts to run across there. So we're really excited about that space.
One space that I was pleasantly surprised when I had the opportunity to take a look around a few weeks ago was the outdoor courtyard that you mentioned. That's going to be an amazing space. Do you anticipate having events or just kind of table, chairs, seating? What do you kind of envision for that space?
I think right now we're probably, going into the fall season, I think we're probably focused mainly on kind of outdoor seating. We have some fire pits that we're going to have out there. So on some of those cool fall evenings, you can sit out there and, have your appetizers and a drink. But I envision next summer cornhole out there. We want to have some fun. I've already ordered a very large Jenga game. I want that space to be a space where families can hang out, so I envision kind of the backyard games happening back there, cornhole boards, and Brian would really love to have a basketball hoop back there, but
I don't know about that liability wise, but maybe. So it's also a great space. We'll reach out to some local artists and bands about having them come out and perform out there, because it should be a great space for that. And like Lisa said, there's just so many outdoor activities that you can do if the weather permits. Cornhole, bucket ball, which looks like basically beer pong with 5-gallon buckets and mini basketballs, and I'm super excited about that one. I've never played, but that looks like right up my alley. So, yeah, all sorts of fun things we can do with that space. So,
how did you select this location? And I think it'd be nice if you'd also talk a little bit about what the facility was before and the transformation it's going through for those who haven't seen it.
Well, we'd been on a long hunt around town for probably a year and a half maybe, just to find the perfect spot. Other opportunities had come up. We didn't necessarily, we really wanted some place that had outdoor space. When we initially talked about this idea, we wanted to have an outdoor driving range or outdoor putting green, that sort of thing. So having the outdoor space was really, really important to us. When we first saw that space come up, the location was a bit worrisome, just given it's so far from town, and then in all reality, it's not. But when we get to talking to a lot of people at the lake and, get in with the banker who wants us to get lots of studies and information on things, we start to realize there's way more people that live out by the lake, than what I ever thought. You add in the subdivisions out south of the lake, and there was just really a need for services out there. And so then I don't know, some of those sleepless nights we thought, man, this is, is this the right location? And then when we get to talking to people, it's just, that was the perfect location. Had everything that we needed. People who have come in now and see how far we've come with building wise, it's kind of hard for them to understand just where we started, because it was the old car doctor building. So it was a shop, basically, a very clean shop. They kept it very clean, but there was car lifts in there, and we took down the copper for air hoses. The back building was a paint room, and Brian sat on his hands and knees for hours grinding paint off that floor so that we could prime it and prep it for the pickleball courts, bringing very large lifts off of another 10-foot tall room that was back there. So there was a lot of demolition that had to happen to tear down what used to be a shop and car restoration facility. And to get to what it is now.
Right. On the, and I think there's been more challenges on the electrical and plumbing side than either Kylie or Roger will tell us that there have been, turning a car shop into some place where you can serve food out of and turn it into an entertainment venue. When we first got going, Roger Anderson told me there are no stupid questions. I don't know if he still feels that way, but he may or may not. But there's a lot of stuff that people can't see. We tore out a bunch of the concrete floor and ran plumbing and electrical through there and re-poured that, and it looks really fairly seamless now. Mm-hmm. But for a while we had this trench in the middle of the building and you looked at that, you just thought, my God, are we going to be open by 2025? But now, it's all starting to button up and come together now. You can see what it's going to be. And, anybody who saw what the Car Doctor was will be pretty amazed at what it's become. It still has a little bit of the same feel, but it's definitely, taken and done a 180 with an existing property to turn it from what it was to what it's going to be.
When I got to visit the property not too long ago, to me, one of the things that I think is going to be pretty neat, I can start to visualize, is as you go in and there's the double dip space and let's call it the quieter space. Yep. And then there's kind of this arch or gateway, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, you're part of this fun big event area. And I think it's kind of a grand entrance. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It is kind of a grand entrance, and that's, there's this one pillar right in the middle that is a support beam for the building, and so it just kind of has to stay there. And we tried to find ways that we could maybe make that not such like a staple when you walk in, and so cutting this very, very large hole in the concrete block is what we did, and it is a very nice grand entrance. And again, I try to describe to people when they come in, they're like, "Oh, this is so nice and open." I said, "Yeah, and before it used to be just a small walk-in door," and so it's really hard to visualize what it was before, had you not ever been. We just had somebody in there last night who said, "This is really cool. I have no idea what it looked like before, but it's really cool now." And I said, it's kind of hard to picture all the work that's been done.
Yeah, I think the first time people walk in and walk through that big entrance like Ty was talking about, and the bar is going to be really, really visually appealing, and I think there's going to be some wow factor when people see that. They're going to, wow, this is really awesome. So we're looking forward to that.
What will your days and hours be?
We're going to be open Tuesday through Sunday, so we'll just be closed on Mondays.
Sunday fun day?
What's that?
Sunday fun day?
Sunday fun day, that's
Sunday
right.
Fun day.
That's right. We're going to open at 11 for lunch and then stay open till 10, probably 9 in the wintertime during the weekdays. We're going to give lunch a go and see what the need is out in that area for lunchtime during the week. That's kind of the one time slot during the day that we're not 100% sure how much of a need there is for lunchtime service out there. So we're going to open up and offer that, and hope that there's enough people out there that can definitely benefit from us being open at the lunchtime. So 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. will be our hours, Tuesday through Sunday.
And will Double Dips mirror those hours?
She's going to, I think she's probably going to go more towards after school time. Okay. During the week anyway, probably that like 3 to 4. She definitely doesn't know if there's a need out by the lake for ice cream during the lunch hour. So I guess I would recommend, if anybody's listening to this and they really feel like they need a lunchtime ice cream fix, maybe letting Lori know, because that's going to be a little bit of, trial and error navigation for her of, what the need is for ice cream out there during the daytime in the week. So.
And this is her second location.
Correct.
So she'll remain downtown and staff this second location. Yep. Okay, got it.
She's calling it Double Dips Lakeside, which I think is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. So
she just told me today that she's bought a malt machine, so she's now going to have shakes. She'll have 8 flavors of ice cream, and then she's going to do some kind of grab and goes of fudge and cookies and some of those things. So
very nice.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big hit out there. Mm-hmm. Now, we haven't talked about the golf simulators yet, and they're not just your average everyday golf simulator, are they? Probably go to Brian on this one, right?
Well, I hope they're not, given on what they cost us. I hope that they, from the little bit of demo that Lisa and I and a few other people have come in and done, they're pretty awesome. It's a pretty immersive experience. Each bay's, I believe, 17 feet long. So you step into there and you're surrounded, and it's a dark area, and you fire away right into the screen, and the ball tracks. They're really, really neat. They're very user friendly also from what we found. So we're looking forward to doing some leagues this winter for people. There's a driving range feature on there, which isn't for everybody, but there may be some people over the lunch hour want to come in and just work on their swing a little bit and then bang a few balls into the screen and have a burger. We're set up for that. So the only tricky thing that neither one of us have mastered, and we haven't had time, we haven't spent a ton of time in those simulators, contrary to some popular belief. The putting's a little tricky, but we'll figure that out.
Yep.
So.
The other thing that's really nice about this company, it's About Golf, is the company that we went with, and they have an app. So they have the About Golf Simulator app. And so Brian and I both have the app. We will encourage anybody that's going to be a regular user of the simulators to get the app. So Brian has certain settings under his account that he likes. I have certain settings under my account that I like. And so if he and I come in together, the code is up on that simulator. And so we can both jump on there. You can either scan the QR code or type the sim code in there at that time. And so Brian and I can play together. If I like one camera angle of ball flight, when I hit, that's what it does. When he hits, that's what it does. So it makes it very personable to an individual for each person that plays. And so 4 of you can come in together. You can all have your own settings. And when you jump up there, the computer knows that you're the one playing. It'll keep track of, if you go to the range, it'll keep track of if you want to say that you got a new 8-iron or something, you want to test that out. You can hit 20 balls with your 8-iron. It's going to track everything from that day and give you all the averages. And so the technology behind it is really, really amazing, and adding that app to it is awesome. You can just jump on your phone and say, oh, here's how I hit the ball today, or and those sorts of things. So that's one thing, is we'll encourage everybody to get the About Golf app, and then you'll keep all your settings on there.
And after the first, it'll probably take a couple minutes with each person the first time to get them set up and everything. But then after that, it's literally you scan a QR code off the screen, and within 10 seconds you're up and playing. So there's, you get full, basically if you book it for an hour, you're getting the full hour. You're not wasting a little bit of time at the start getting, up and going. You're just, boom, you're ready to go. So.
And you bring your own golf clubs, and you're hitting a real golf ball, right?
You're hitting a real golf ball. We will provide the balls because they have some tracking markings on the balls that came with the simulators that helps it pick up the spin for the best accuracy. So we'll provide those. We'd encourage everybody to bring their own clubs so they have the best experience. We'll have a few on hand, but they're probably not going to be what everybody's looking for. So if people can bring their own clubs, we'd certainly encourage that.
We don't have any extra clubs ever at our house, and so I don't know if we have any that we can spare. But
well, when you only buy clubs once every 15 or 20 years, you don't have that many new ones hanging around, right?
This summer there hasn't been many new club purchases, Ty, but every once in a while you've got to just tinker, because it's not the person, it's always the club.
How do you book reservations?
When our website goes live, you can book online, and then you can just come walk in. And I guess for this purposes of today I don't have all the logistics worked out yet on how we're going to do just this simulator stays live and this one will book, but it's going to be mostly online bookings. So.
Okay.
We'd encourage people to book online once that goes live. You'd be able to call in too if somebody doesn't want to use the website, and we'd be able to pull up the schedule and see when we have openings, and we can just punch in their reservation that way. But if people can book online, that's going to be by far the best way to do it.
And it's an hour time slot?
It can be. It'd
or
be
an
hour or multiple hours. We don't know.
Oh, okay.
We don't know if in a half an hour. I'm not sure anybody would really get out unless they wanted to do a quick 30-minute range session. There's a few logistics we need to work out, but
yeah.
It seems like one person could play 18 holes in about an hour by themselves, and then a group of 4. It would just kind of depend on how much dilly-dallying that goes on between shots, but I would guess 2 to 3 hours of foursome could play 18 holes on the simulator.
Nice. And how about axe throwing? What would be like an expected?
So an hour's a good time slot for those if you have a group of people. If you have just 2 to 3 people, 45 minutes is plenty of time. Yeah, even 30. And we're going to offer 30-minute time slots and hour time slots on the axe throwing, just because Brian and I have played before, just the two of us, and we had a lot of fun for 30 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes, you're like,
Okay.
I mean, can I just keep beating you even worse than I have already? So, one person is suddenly not all that excited about it, and then the other person is. So we'll do both 30 an hour time slots on that. So.
Have you done that before?
No, I was going to ask you. I've not done axe throwing. Have you?
I have, yeah. So there's one that is in the Haymarket in Lincoln, kind of underneath the bridge. And I don't remember the name of it, but I was in there with at least one of my sons, maybe both, about probably 2 years ago, 2 or 3. It wasn't too long after it opened, and we've tried it out. I've done it a couple times. And, what's funny is when I was growing up, this was a big activity, like up at Fort Robinson and Chadron State Park and all that. But that was more like tomahawks, okay? So I think they were smaller. And maybe the distance was a little bit further. So at that point in time, I think a lot of our state parks and whatnot would have these little tomahawk throwing things. So, I pick up the axe and tried a couple times. First couple didn't go well. And all of a sudden it was like riding a bike. I was on, like 4 throws in. It's like it all came back from when I was like 9 years old. So it was good. It was a fun experience, yeah.
So you were fine continuing to play for the hour because you were winning?
Yeah, I think 30 to 45 minutes is where it starts to run its course.
Yep.
I mean, what's fun about it is if like I visualize myself in your venue, okay, I could listen to live music. I'm a guy that likes to sit at the bar counter, and I know they're going to have a bar counter, so that's appealing. If you want to take a break from that, go throw axes. You got the golf simulator, the potential for live music, pickleball. I mean, you think of the number of offerings that this place will have. I mean, you could come up with like 25 combinations of how you could spend some time out there. And I think that's what's going to be so neat is not only we have an area in the community that's currently underserved for food and beverage service, but it's going to be a venue like we haven't seen much of in North Platte that's going to have all these cool combinations the way you can hang out. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely great.
I hope so. I know so.
Who beats who in axe throwing? I'm picking up maybe.
She's better at axe throwing than I am.
I get one thing. I can't beat him at golf. If I get within a couple strokes, I'll send a snap to all of his friends, and then all of his friends are like, Brian, you had a really bad day. I'm like, but I had a really great day. And I almost beat him.
Well,
something like that.
As I've talked to people in the community, there's been a couple of things like, I don't know about drinking and throwing axes. That could be dangerous. And I'm sure that there are safety thing. I mean, it's a controlled environment.
Yep. So we've made the lanes. We have a safe zone in the lanes. We have fencing in between them all. I've done a lot of research on not even the 2 places I've played, but research on other places that didn't have some of the rubber around or didn't take a lot of thought into the flooring, so those axes bounce off there. So we're putting rubber mats around and some turf down to try to prevent those things. I mean, I'm sure that obviously there are always things that could potentially happen, but then just the safety, having people monitoring the lanes, and so we're going to do our best to keep it as safe as possible, and obviously limit the amount of drinks that are going to the people that are throwing axes. So
yeah, this is nothing new, so I don't doubt that it's not a fun, safe activity, but segging into our Asking for a Friend segment today is health insurance plans. And it's actually, this episode is going to drop about the same time that people are probably going to be reviewing their plans for the following year. So our question for Ty today, and you guys feel free to jump in and ask questions or join the conversation. But our question for Ty today is, I'm comparing the benefits of a low deductible versus high deductible health insurance plan. What are some important considerations?
Okay, well, high deductible health plans are an evolving item because more and more companies are using them because of how expensive health insurance has become and what they can afford to offer. So there's just a few things. My biggest advice when it comes to health insurance, if you work for a company and they have multiple options, the most important thing is to spend time understanding them. That's item number one. So to give you an idea, let's say your company has, $1,000 or $1,500 deductible regular plan, and then they have a $3,000 or $4,000 high deductible plan. Well, the first thing is figuring out how much do you think you're going to use it, and what's the premium difference that you and your company are going to pay. In other words, how much out of pocket am I going to pay, and how does that compare for the difference, and what do I think the probability is of using it. It's really a math problem at that point to see what's best. Most companies that offer it, whoever the plan administrator is, they will help you analyze it and then talk. You can look at your historical usage and you can figure it out. The other thing that's interesting about high deductible plans is that you can get an HSA account. Those are popular now. We do those downstairs here at the bank, and that's where you can put money in those each year if you're in a high deductible plan to go towards medical expenses, and you're able to put that money in tax-free, kind of like you do an IRA. And they also have the ability to carry over money from year to year. So you're starting to see more and more people use high deductible plans because the premiums are so much cheaper. Now, this year, this is the first year I've switched. My kids are 21 and 19 now. This is the first year I've flipped out of a normal plan into a higher deductible plan, and that was really just to save health insurance premiums on a monthly basis and then hope you don't pay so much more through your extra deductible. I think when it all comes out, I'm going to be about even this year, but anyway, so I've been trying to learn more and more about it. There's another little item that people forget to look at when they're comparing plans, and that's coinsurance and out-of-pocket maximum. And so those are really important things when you're analyzing your health insurance options from your employer. You really want to not only look at the deductible, which is everybody knows their deductible and looks at their deductible. Nobody knows what their coinsurance and oftentimes their out-of-pocket maximums are. Well, the way coinsurance works is that once you hit your deductible, you continue to pay like 20% or 50% or whatever, and you're kind of in partnership with the insurance claim at that point. A lot of employers are using lower coinsurance to give people a better benefit with high deductible plans. And so if in some high deductible plans, I might have a higher deductible, but I'm going to stop paying sooner. The other thing that's trendy right now is gap insurance. So like there's a lot of accident insurances and like hospitalization insurance. So there's a lot of insurances out there that you pay some kind of a small fee, and if you end up going to the hospital, they cut you a check for a certain amount of money, maybe it's $1,000 or $2,000. Well, that can also help people utilize high deductible insurance, and so you can look at those plans as well. Now, for the official record, I am not a licensed health insurance agent, so please talk to a trained professional on this. But all in all, I think the key to your question is understanding the options and not just the deductible, but looking at the plans and taking the time to do that once a year.
I was about ready to tell Brian. I think, Brian, you can go to Ty for all your
I know.
insurance questions.
Yeah, too bad you didn't sell that, Ty. I'd buy some right now because I'm in the market for the first time in a while. Lisa won't marry me just for insurance, so I guess I need to get something figured out on that front on my end. So Ty's little refresher there was very nice.
Well, work on that axe throwing thing. No.
Yeah, on the axe throwing note, Danielle, people will sign a waiver when they come in, because when Lisa first brought it up, I thought, God, how the heck are we going to afford the insurance for that? But people sign a waiver, and the insurance isn't that bad. And 99.99% of people are going to be responsible with it when they come in. It's just, and we will have a security camera trained on that, so if somebody gets out of line, we'll know exactly who it is, and they probably will be asked to not come throw axes again. So,
yeah.
Now, Lisa, I'm sure you've been asked this. Are you going to remain being a sergeant in our police force?
I am. I told Brian, when this went from being a very small couple axe lanes and simulator to very large food and beverage, I told Brian, I said, I love what I do. I love serving the community. I have no desire to quit my job to run this. I love what I do, and I want to keep doing that for a long time to come. 19 years is what I decide I have left. And so Brian says, that's fine. He says, I'll handle it. And he was kind of, I don't know, you get to doing a job for a long time, you're kind of ready for a change anyway. And so he was kind of ready to, quote unquote, be retired and GM in golf. And so now he can GM, and he told me there's going to be a lot more golf next year. So we'll see. But no, I don't have any plans or thoughts to quit at the police department. So I love getting up and going to that job every day, so I'm going to keep doing that.
That's great. What has the response been from the community so far?
I wish that I could right now today tell every single person that asks. We know for sure when we're opening, because everyone's like, we just need something to do. We are so excited. We want to come out and check it out. And some days it's kind of overwhelming. Sometimes I tell Brian, I said, we need to just go home and not see people, because people are so excited about it. Everybody just wants to talk about it all the time, which is really, really cool, and it's really fun. And I just wish that we could, snap our fingers and be open overnight, so we are giving people something to do. But it's been my sister created our Facebook page. She created it on a Sunday morning. I was at work, and my phone, I about just shut my phone off for the day. She says, Lisa, I had no idea that you would get so much traction one day. And my sister's from Omaha, and I told her, I said, Kristen, people are so excited about this opening up. And so I said, you could have given me the forewarning that the Facebook page was going live, because I wasn't really quite ready for it that day. But so it's been, people are just really, really excited and really happy for us and for what Brian and I have going on. So
kind of to go back to what Ty was saying, with there are a lot of different things you can do out there. You'll run into one person around noon and say, wow, Sunday evening we're just sitting around. We really wish, ready for you guys to be open so we can just come in and have a burger and a couple beers. You run into other people, man, we can't wait, to have some place to play pickleball this winter. Other people, wow, those simulators are going to be awesome. I'll be in there all the time this winter when I can't play outside. And, the axe throwing, people are like, I've never thrown axes before, so I'm really looking forward to giving that a shot. And, we will have it all under one roof, and it's just going to be a lot of fun when it's actually open. Right now it's a little, I don't know. We both sleep very well at night, at least for the first couple hours. Then your mind starts racing, and then like I was telling Danielle before we went on air, I have this feeling that there's something big we're forgetting. I don't know what it is, and hopefully it doesn't pop up. But Ty, I hope I don't have to call you about that.
I think I've known a lot of folks over the years who've started businesses, and the ones who are well planned are usually the ones that are so successful. And I think you guys have been working on this for a long time. Yeah. And I think the community is just going to be thrilled to wait. And I'm somebody too that math, when you have tough questions or things you're trying to figure out, I always think, how can I go back to math? It's kind of like the insurance question. And what I think of this area is you've got a lot of people living in this area demographically, and we don't have an offering. And so you think of how many people are within a few miles of your location, and you don't have that much competition out there. But, and I live in town, and I don't think it'll be that far to go out there to visit either. No. So I really like the way you guys have brought this all together. I think you're going to be really successful.
Thank you.
Anything else that you feel we should add before we wrap things up?
I don't think so. It's just kind of ready for us to have, kind of the family place to be. So
I certainly look forward to it. And thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of the details. We look forward to it. By the time this episode airs, hopefully the business will be open. And if you're listening, be sure to head out and try any one of the many offerings the Axes and Aces will have available. So that's it for today's episode. Next time, we have the owners of another new business to the area, Clean Can Company. Learn about this unique business with us and how they are marketing their new service to grow in the North Platte area. Till then, be sure to share your favorite episodes and follow us on Facebook. Visit us online at nebraskalandbank.com/podcast for more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.